driver interviews, pit action, industry news. We're bringing you everything that fuels the adrenaline-pumping world of dirt track racing. Buckle up now. You're sitting with the Slimy Bastards. Take it away, Jason and Adam.
Are you tired of losing your pit mat at a race? Well, get a hold of 44 Productions. They can customize your team logo, number, name, whatever you want on that pit mat. So get a hold of Tanner or Kelsey at 44 Productions.
Joining us on the Slimy Bastard podcast, the one and only Tanner Black, 44T, Rock Springs, Wyoming is where we are on day number 2 of the Roger Rolene Memorial Race, Salute to Veterans Memorial Race. First of all, Tanner, thanks for coming all this way. You're out of Kansas. You used to live in Arizona, grew up in Arizona, correct?
Yep. And made it easier this time because my car owner lives in Denver, so I just drove to his place, and then I'm just racing the car that was at his house. I didn't have to tow my stuff all the way out here, so that helps out a bunch on diesel and all that. So
yeah. And last night was pretty emotional for us as a family. Of course, Tanner, you're pretty close to. You were pretty close to my dad and family and everything. And, you won it last night. It was a hell of a race. I think there was only one yellow, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was a good last couple laps, and between you and Ricky Alvarado, and you ended up winning it. And it was a fun night, but emotional night all in one. We were talking about that on the way over here.
Yeah, it was kind of like I said. It wasn't my biggest win, but it was the most meaningful. Everyone that was there, they seen that victory lap, and it was tough. So it feels really good though to come here and do that. Like you said, everyone with the family and everything. It was a good deal. Had a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do good again tonight.
Yeah. Everybody was here that Dad really kind of followed. You, the Yeagers, Ricky Alvarado. The only one we're kind of missing is Ethan Dodson and Cody Laney. But it was fun, a good car count, 20, I think, what did they say, 26?
We ended up with 27 modifieds.
27?
Yeah.
See, this is why I got Adam here, Tanner.
Yeah.
He knows the fucking
He's the
technical
brains
shit.
of the operation.
Yeah, the brains.
Absolutely.
He brought the printer.
Yeah.
We do what we can.
I can barely get this motherfucker to carry a briefcase across the parking lot. God, we were a mess. A couple of weeks ago, I gotta tell this story quick. You're gonna get a charge out of this, Tanner. A couple of weeks ago, we were driving down to Webster City to the USMTS race.
Yes, we were.
I had a couple beers in me already, and we're driving along, and I get this random phone call, and I've been looking for trailers, to do this podcast out of when we're at the tracks. So I had messages around to guys, and a number came up out of like the Sioux City area. So I was like, well, I'm going to take this call, and guy picked up the phone. He goes, "Is this Steve?" I said, "No, this is Jason." He goes, "Oh, you're not Steve?" And I said, "Well, fuck, you want me to be Steve? I'll be Steve." He goes, "Oh, okay, well, I'm calling about that fishing pond you got." And I said, "Fishing pond?" He goes, "Yeah, fishing pond." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Well, what kind of fish you got in there?" I said, "What kind of fish do you want?" He goes, "Well, walleye." And I said, "Well, fuck, I got some of the biggest walleye in the state in this pond. You got any northern?" "Oh, you want northern? Then I'll stock the fucker with northern."
He's like, "I'll go fill it tonight. I'll go fill it tonight."
So he's going on and on like he's legitimately wanting to go fishing on my lake. He goes, "What's the name of your lake again?" I said, "Lake Havasu." Down by Iowa City. I said, "Yeah, I'm down by Iowa City."
He's like, we're right outside Iowa City, Lake Havasu.
So this motherfucker is looking up online later on and sobered up. Where's Lake Havasu in Iowa?
Yeah. I don't think that's too close, but
Yeah, asked him how deep it was. He told him it was 150 foot.
So then he asked what kind of cabin I had. So how big do you need? And he goes, well, I got 4 of us. And I said, 4 horny bastards. It's gonna be pretty pricey. I go, do you want the stripper poles upstairs on the main floor or down in the basement? He goes, I don't need any of them. And I said, well, I got some of the finest women up the road here at the strip joint that they come over here for private shows. And my God, you're going to be one happy camper with it. And, he goes, oh, I'm good. We're good on that. And he goes, what's the price on those? And I said, the strippers or the house? And he goes, the house. So I said, $2,800 a night. He goes, oh, that ain't too bad. So Adam's like, well, fuck, there's our first sponsor for our podcast. So
Yeah.
he's doing one of fucking...
I figure if he's not going to get a fishing trip, we just will get money out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you are rolling.
Yeah.
The only thing your dad would have done different is he would have got the guy's card information or had the check sent
Well, I said,
for a deposit.
just cash at me the money and then I'll have it.
Yeah.
I'll have it.
It was just so random. So I saved his telephone number.
That sounds like something your dad would do, for sure. He used to tell me his CB stories when he was a trucker. And he kind of had some stuff like that, how he'd pull into a truck stop and come on the CB and say, well, I just got done unloading over there at the Home Depot and they left 3 brand new chainsaws in my trailer. And the first one to this truck stop, you could have them for $20 a piece. And he said they'd be fighting over them on the CB. And he'd just sit there and watch. Yeah. He has some stories.
And that's where I guess a lot of that came from for me, is just because I love fucking around with people and having a good time with it.
Yeah, that's...
And I kind of got Tanner with that last night of they were getting ready to load up his car, and I can't remember who asked you, or I think it was you, Adam, that asked him how many races he was going to run with the USM.
Yeah.
And Tanner's like, well, I don't know. It depends on, I only got 1 car, 1 engine.
Oh,
What's that, Tanner?
no, I just said, yep.
So when he said that, and I said, well, shit, after tonight, Bill just got done saying his checkbook's wide open. Tanner's sitting there just shaking his head.
Yeah. Well, he helps me as much as he can, but I don't want to overstep my boundaries too much there.
Hey, first time I met him was last night. That's your car owner out of Denver. Now, he's one of your main sponsors, obviously, because he owns your car, but go ahead and explain what he does.
I mean, I think he just likes me for some reason. I don't I don't really have an answer there, but he does go out of his way to help me and kind of give me stuff I need, and you know, he kind of sees me trying to do it on my own, you know, even though with his help, you know, with the car and stuff, but I still try to fund everything myself, you know, up and down the highway, and there is times he helps me out there too, but it's more when, you know, he kind of reaches out to help me, you know, I'm not sitting there begging, but
Sure.
And I think that's probably the reason it's lasted as long as it has, you know. I haven't really tried taking advantage of the guy or anything like that, you know. I just try to get as much help as I need and still could do it on my own, but you know, I have a lot of other good sponsors too that, you know, that help out. Ryan at Morton's Travel Plaza, you know, he helps me out throughout the year. My brother at AR Metal Buildings, he's came on and you know, he's always wanted to race too, and with work and now he's got kids and stuff like that. He's still involved in it. He still watches and he still, you know, helps me out. So that's
Your brother is Austin, right?
Yep. My brother's Austin, and he's actually the reason I met your dad. Honestly, him and Ryan, they were up this way racing Rock Springs, and well, they ran that Wild West tour back in the day when it was kind of a big deal. So when all that was going on, I was just helping my brother and Ryan, you know, in the pits. And Roger was, I don't even know where I met Roger. He just was like the guy that was always there. I feel like, I don't know.
Wandering around.
Yeah,
where he's at.
he's been in my life as long as I can think. I don't know. He was just there. I never could remember saying, "Oh, nice to meet you, Roger," because I don't know when that time really was. Like,
So the story that I got was back to you and Bill was Dad told me that there was a time where you're out at a track someplace and Bill came up to Ryan and Dad and them and was like, I think there's a little homeless kid walking around here that doesn't look like he knows what's coming or going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to give him a helping hand unless you guys know who he is. So that explains it now.
yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. Roger always said, I do remember like the first trip though was, he always told my brother, "Oh, you come race Idaho and you got a place to stay and this and that. I'll cook you a steak so fucking big you won't be able to eat it." This and that. So like a year later, whatever, it works out. We're racing Idaho. So we call him. Yep. I live right here. You come here, this, that. We show up and he has these steaks and they had to be fucking 2 inches, 3 inches thick. He probably went to the butcher and asked for them, and they looked at him like, "You want what? Why would you want that?" And
I know where he went. He went right up the road, which is about 4 blocks, to Smith's Food and Drug.
Yeah.
And got the guy who cuts the steaks, and he probably did the whole hand.
Yeah.
I wanted that thick.
Yeah, he did too, because that hand movement was what he told us. That steak was that thick. Yeah, he did do that. And we showed up, and there was our steaks. We went and ate, and then, we took his boat out. He took us fishing and stuff, and you know how he is. He probably shouldn't have been allowed to have a boat, if we're being honest. And God, we had a lot of fun though. Like me and my brother, just messing with him the entire time. We figured out a way to put his fish finder to demo mode, so it's just showing all these fishes, and he thinks we're just on the mother load of them, and me and my brother are sitting there. Then my brother's sitting behind him, and Roger's got his tackle box open, and my brother's grabbing his lead sinkers and throwing them over Roger's head where they make a little splash, and he thinks, "God damn, they're all over the place. I don't know why they're not biting." And, it was just, we had a lot of fun. And then we're leaving, and we pull up to the boat ramp, and he goes, "Yeah," he says, "Did I ever tell you guys about what happened to Marie here?" I said,
And Bree was our stepmother, who he's married at the time.
"Yep," and she's passed away too. So,
Yeah.
she was an awesome, wonderful woman, but this story was like just classic. He's like, "Yeah," he said, "I pulled up, because she can't drive the boat, and he says she can't really drive the truck and trailer either, but he says I thought she'd have a better chance at that than driving the boat, So then he said, so what I was gonna do was I was gonna have her drive the truck and trailer, and then he said, I thought, hell with it, I'll just pull up to the boat dock here and have her grab the dock and then hold me, and I'll tie the boat up, go back the trailer down, put the boat on." Well, he pulls up there, and he said that he pulls up, and she goes to step on the dock off the front of the boat. She had 1 foot on the boat, 1 foot on the dock. Well, he kicks it in reverse so he don't hit the dock, and then she goes in the water. She doesn't know how to swim. And I said, "Well, Christ, what'd you do?" He says, "Well, I couldn't just leave the boat." So, luckily, there was a bystander, came, ran down the dock, jumped in, grabbed her, saved her, put her up on the dock and stuff. And then, by the time he's finally got the boat under control, gets the boat to the dock, I think the bystander helps him dock the boat and ties it up or whatever. And he said she was not happy. He said, I pulled out of there, and she says, "I don't want to hear one word out of your mouth." But there was just that guy. He makes you think everything. Like he's told me every time I go to do something, like now, if I go on a boat, I pull up to a dock. That's what I think of. Like every time. Like, well, don't do this. You know, he's told me all of his mistakes, and he's made plenty of them.
So we've heard that story with the boat and all that.
Yeah.
But the version that Ryan and I heard was, she sat on that dock. She looked like a drowned wet dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a lot of details I'm leaving out too. Yeah, I can't remember everything, but I just remember him saying, "We were pulling out of here." She says, "I don't want to hear a word out of your mouth."
But Ryan, you know how many problems he had with that fifth wheel.
Oh yeah.
And Ryan and I always got a charge out of this. He kind of left late for the winter one year. It was like mid-December or January or something. And the pedestal that helps hold, you know, kind of secure the fifth wheel or keep it, whatever. And anyways, frozen into ground. And what was it that he was backing up and he hit something and
he slammed it down on the hood of the Marie had a Buick at the time. He slammed it down on the hood of the Buick, and Marie was standing on the steps smoking her cigarettes, and she yelled out, "Roger, you're scratching the car."
Just like that too. I can see that. And she probably had, what was it? Was it Pepsi or a Coke? Coke. A Coke in the other hand and a cigarette in the other.
The dad looked at her and said, "I don't give a goddamn."
Yeah. I remember him telling me the story too, where, you know, they go to the winter out there in Arizona, and she would just pack. You know, she'd go to the store there in Idaho, and she'd buy 27 cases of Coke, you know, to bring, and they would just... He had that trailer so loaded one year, he's blowing tires left and right. He said he's about ready to start leaving cases of Coke on the side of the highway so he'd quit blowing the tires. So the next year he told her, "We're not bringing anything. We're shopping out there. Stop loading the trailer so much."
So your dad, Ron Black, I had a lot of fun with him in Vegas when we went out there that year. Where's he at? What's he doing right now?
I guess he's out on Lake Powell, staying out there on a houseboat fishing, I guess, this week. So
Is that what he's calling it? Or?
yeah, so I'm out there fishing. Yeah, it sounds good, I guess. But
He, I've never met a guy that could drink the way he can. Yeah, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, no,
My dad was a lot like that.
Yeah, they were pretty similar. Yeah, he could put some alcohol down for sure. And I'm the complete opposite, but I don't know. I think that has a lot to do why I don't really do it too. You know, I don't know. I don't really do it. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. You and your mom, Liz, she had this whole spread out there one night. I think it was a taco bar type thing.
Yeah.
She did a hell of a cook. She puts on a full spread for everybody around you. Your brother, Ryan Cartel, all them guys were out there. And we were talking a little bit about this with Braxton and Bryson yesterday, how much in this sport, how much family and friends really support each other in this.
Yeah, there's a bunch, especially with your dad. Like, that guy could go, I don't care if it's Minnesota, Arizona, California, Nevada. He can go anywhere, and he'll know someone. Like, really good, you know, known him forever, this and that, or just because, I mean, everyone that knew him too. He was like a social butterfly. You could, you know, talk to a pole if you wanted to, but... and he probably did, you know, at times, you know.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah. But I mean, I mean, everyone, like the pit gate guy. Like, we don't. How do you know him? Oh, he's always worked that front gate. You know, I mean,
You ever heard of Tanner Black?
yeah.
Tell you what, he's no slouch.
He would mess with everyone. You know, like I can remember being a little kid in Las Vegas, and I didn't have a pit pass. You know, because Vegas was always so expensive. You know, when I was a little kid, helping people like. I forget what it was, $200-something for a week, you know. Well, I was in high school, like that was a lot of money for me to go sit there and work for someone, you know. So your dad would always be camped out there, and he'd get in the truck, and he says, "Now you just look and look forward." And we'd head for that fucking pit gate about 45 mile an hour, and he would just, you know, that big goofy smile he does, and he would just wave at the pit gate guy like. The pit gate guy's like, oh, that guy ain't all there, and boom, he comes zooming through there, and they would never come after us or say anything. Like it was just like he was that type of guy. He could just talk his way through anything. And I don't know. I'm getting way off track, I guess, but
what's nice about this stuff.
Yeah, he did have a lot of friends, and then I feel like. The people that didn't like him was for a reason. I mean, he hated them. Like they did something to really piss him off because he, you know, there was a handful that like he stayed clear of and he didn't care for. But I'm not gonna talk about that. But like most of those people, you know, treated him bad at one point or something, and he wouldn't give him another time of day. And I don't blame the guy. You know, it's kind of something he taught me in life. Kind of know your self-value, you know. If people are going to treat you like that, there's no point in being around them. So
right, and that's what's cool about what we're doing here. I don't care what people think of how I'm doing this or what we're doing on our podcast. I just speak what I want to say. And
kind of said it yesterday, or if you don't want to listen to it, don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And that's where this all, just having a good time. Now, back to some of your victories, Tanner. I want to ask you, there's a two-part question to this. Out of all the races you raced at, not counting last night, but what's one of the most memorable, one that stands out in your mind that like, holy shit, I just won this?
Really, it's kind of sad. It's not even a win, but probably when I ran 5th down there at Batesville for that big 20,000 to win. You know, the field was like, I was the only no name in the field, to be honest. Like, I looked at the lineup and I started like 14th or something, and I was just like, holy crap! Like, you know, it was the best of the best. All these guys, and there was a lot of late model guys, you know, that came down for that deal because, you know, $20,000 is quite a bit of money, and,
right?
And I just feel like I was literally kind of the nobody in it. And now at that time, I hadn't raced a bunch of big stuff yet. That was when I first started kind of driving for Bill. Just first kind of started getting things going, started traveling more, stuff like that. And when I went and did that, you know, 75 laps or whatever, and I ran 5th in that race, kind of just like made me realize, dang, maybe I do have a shot at being something. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it paid $10,000 for 5th or whatever, and it was like, in my eyes, you know, at the time, I probably didn't have $200 to my name in my bank account, you know,
right.
And so it was like it was a big deal for me, not only the money, but like just who was in that race and the cars I was racing around, and to me, that was probably one of my biggest like kind of moments that I realized like maybe I can do this, you know. But my biggest win and best win would for sure be North Dakota. I don't know if that was last year or the year before. I think it was the year before. That was probably my biggest win just because up there it's pretty tough. I mean, if you win a race up there, I don't care who you are, you did something right.
And that's the North Dakota tour, right?
Yep.
The Mod Tour.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is a heavy hitter series. I mean, there's a lot of.
Well, there's 60 of the best modifieds in the country that usually show up on a nightly show up there.
Jesus Christ, look at what the cat just drug it. How was breakfast? Ricky Alvarado just sat down.
fashioning too late here. Yeah.
You're fine. I understand. You got breakfast and that. You got your family out here this weekend. And
Yeah, I got my kids and my wife, and my dad's here, so you got to get my dad some food or he gets kind of cranky.
now, we're sitting here with Tanner, Ricky Alvarado, Tanner Black, and now Tanner, now that Ricky's here, let's tone it down a little bit on how you race.
Yeah, I'll stop talking about him so bad.
Yeah.
See, we're already relieving Ricky's speechless. He doesn't even know what the fuck to say.
It's all right. I'm used to it by now. Been doing this a long time.
At the end of the day, you just got to remember the name of the podcast is Slimy Bastards. I don't know that it really matters what you say. I mean, if people have the guts to click play on it.
There's our next soundbite for just that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That will be on all social media.
Ricky Alvarado, all the way from New Mexico, correct?
No, at Hotchkiss, Colorado.
Oh, didn't you live in New Mexico or?
No, the business I work for is out of New Mexico.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I spend a lot of time around that area too. But yeah, I've been in Colorado my whole life, so just a little different side of the state now. I live over south, outside of Grand Junction, so clear on the western slope of Colorado.
You come back to Iowa quite a bit to race.
At least once a year. You know, we usually try to make a good week-long deal up there. We go to something, either go up there race for a week at different tracks, or we'll go to Super Nationals for a week. And I have a love-hate relationship with Super Nationals, but last year was fun, so we'll probably go again.
I was gonna say, I think the first time I met you was in Marshalltown.
Yeah,
When you were racing there either last year or the year before.
yeah, last year was probably last year.
It was last year, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever been there. And that's a heck of a racetrack right there.
Well, you kind of schooled them that night, but
Well, I don't know. I think I got lucky because I drew up front, but it was fun. We had a good year last year, so they're not all like that. So we gotta take the good ones when they're good.
So, I always find this stuff kind of interesting. When you guys are out on the track together, and you guys have a lot of respect for each other, you guys are pretty good friends even off the track, correct?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we talk at least once a week on the phone just to see how each other are doing. Most of the time, it's not always about racing.
Sure. So when you guys get out there on the track and there's a caution or whatever, do you ever get like up on each other and give each other the finger or, like, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. What's coming up? And give them a little tap to let them know you're there.
No, never like that. Just usually in staging or something. We'll start next to each other so we can give each other the bird.
Is there anybody out on the track that's kind of dirty that will give those gestures and he's pretty pissed off or, something that happened that
I think you piss a guy off enough, you'll probably get it from anyone. Really. I don't know.
Well, the old school way of doing it is if there was a guy leading that sometimes shouldn't be leading, you ran up to second or something, you'd pull up next to him and, after the caution came out, and kind of spin your tires and make him think that you're going to the outside just to kind of get in his head. And it always worked. You'd go in the next corner and dive in there up high trying to block you, and you dive around the bottom. But
That guy leading last night, I kind of did that too. For being honest. On that one restart, I pulled up next to him on the bottom. Well, then they put that other guy in front of me, so I wasn't in second. I was in third, but I thought I was in second. So then that guy chose the bottom, so I was on the outside. So it worked out either way. He went to the bottom, and it all worked out. So
there you go. You guys ran a hell of a race last night, first and second. It was a fun race to watch.
yeah, you had Tanner on the bottom, Ricky, you were on the top.
yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun. It's good when it's like that. You can run that hard. This place is so fast though; it's hard to pass. Like it just kind of. I don't think I could have gone any faster. I was doing everything I could to catch Tanner, and I could get to him, but that's a whole different story than passing him. We were just kind of running the same speed.
it's really hard to pass. Like even I got to them lap cars, and it was hard to get around them, even though they're like way off the pace. But like I think such a circle that like no matter what, and then you got a guy that enters on the bottom, X is on the top, and then you kind of whoa up for that, and it feels like when you do whoa up, you lose like a straightaway. It feels like so. It is fast it's a circle, and you're just on it all the way around.
Adam's never been here. I've been here a bunch with Dad and that, and I've always loved this track just because the banking's high. So my question for both of you: what's your favorite track? You guys have raced all over, but what's probably one of your favorite tracks that you race that you're just like, this is why I come?
Wow, that's tough. This place, I've been a bunch. I've raced all over the country, luckily, and have been fortunate enough to do that. But this place used to be amazing with open motors, because you burned your tires up. It was fast. You had power to do something with. Ever since I went to the crate, when it's like it was last night, you're doing everything you can to kind of keep up. It's pretty much wide open. That's all you got. But some of my favorite racetracks, probably Aztec, New Mexico is a great facility. It used to be amazing back in the day. We've really lost car count now to where it's just not that fun going. But back in the day, as far as facility goes and racetrack surface wise, it was probably one of the top for me. Marshalltown, I've only been there once. But as far as anything you watch on TV, all the top late model guys, they always kind of brag about how much fun it is to race there just because you can do something. So that's probably in my top 3 anyway.
Yeah, I'd have to say, like, Marshalltown, I agree with him on that. You get to some of them tracks out there, it's like, I'm not going to say people take it way more serious, but I think they definitely try harder, like, I feel like they understand racing more, like,
You're talking Iowa, the Midwest.
Yeah. Like, even sometimes out here, like, you'll go to a racetrack and it'll be kind of one lane. It'll be smooth, but, like, just hard to pass and stuff. Like, and it could be better, but everyone's like, what do you mean? It was great. It was smooth, It's like, yeah, but if you could, like, have 2-3 lanes of racing, you're going to have a way better race. But,
right.
And not to, like, down on people or anything like that, but, like, we work hard on our race cars and stuff to try to win, and I feel like when you go to the Midwest, like, the race promoters work hard on their racetracks to try to put on a good show for the race fans, and I feel like sometimes, like, come out, I'm not say west, but, like, sometimes just around here and stuff, like, it's hard for people to see that just because they don't, the racetracks you come out here, you don't really see stuff like that. You don't see a lot of good 3-wide racing.
Right, because they don't go back there. They're not used to, like, we're kind of spoiled with that.
Yeah, like, even, like, say you go to Boone, like, think how much you see them tractors on the racetrack. Like, there's tractors and stuff on the racetrack.
They're there, they work the track, then they hot lap it, then they work the track, then they do heat races, farm it, then they do B mains, then they farm it, and then they run features. So about 5 times.
They try hard too, but, like, it goes to show you that just because you're trying hard don't mean you're going to get a good outcome. Like, in my mind, like, Super Nationals last year was really hard to pass. Every time I was on the racetrack, like, it was really, really hard to pass. It was so hard. And, like, I feel like at Boone, normally if it rains, I feel like, and the track's softer and has some holes and stuff, for whatever reason, I feel like it races way better. Like, there'll be 2-3 lanes of racing. But sometimes when they get those dry weeks and it's actually really nice weather, I feel like there's just so many cars. They have that thing so hard that, like, it just gets dirty. Even though they go out there and pick it and stuff, like, it just goes from kind of, back in the day, like, when it would rain and stuff, you never wanted to be in the first couple of heat races after a fall because it was just going to be mudded up. And now it's like it's slimy for 3 laps and then it's just hard and blowing stuff off, But there is times, like, so I mean, that goes back to that, like, you could still work on the racetrack a bunch and still not get a great outcome, but they try hard, and that's good to see. I think, like, it's good to see people trying hard. But, like, last night, I'm not complaining. Last night was smooth. I mean, it was a good racetrack. It was fast, and it's hard to pass when it's real fast like that. But I still think, that it was a good show and stuff. I'm not trying to down on anyone, but I think Deer Creek would be one of my other top favorite tracks. I mean, that place is kind of the same way. It's just racy no matter what.
Right. And the baking's high there.
Yeah.
Have you been there, Ricky?
I haven't. No, it's definitely on the list of places
so
to go.
We need to get you up there for the Harris class.
Absolutely.
Have you? Are you planning on that one?
I don't know if I'm gonna or not. The only reason I'd say that is because it's one night and it's so far up there. Like, from my house is 13 hours or something, just over 12 hours for one night, and it's there. Yeah, there's other racing around, but you go race those other races. For a guy like me, it sucks because they're weekly races. So I go to Marshalltown and I start dead last in a heat race, and then if you win the thing or whatever, you start, I don't know what it is, 12th or however.
You'd start 13th in Marshalltown, but yeah.
So, like, and as well as I do, the locals there are stout. Like, it's not like your average local field. So you go there, it's like you're already shooting yourself in the foot because you're already behind the 8 ball, and so I did that last year. I went to Deer Creek and then I ran these local shows, but it's just hard because you start in the back of your heats, and then sometimes in the heat races the track's fast and hard to pass and stuff, so then you're just buried.
Part of the problem I think with IMCA's point system is like guys that like to travel, it hurts.
Yeah.
It definitely rewards the local guy, but for me, my closest track's 4 hours from home, so there's no point in me going to a local race. Most of the time I'm only going to go if I can go run multiple nights in a row, so it kind of kills the idea sometimes of doing a week in Iowa just because no matter what you're starting behind the 8 ball.
So would the car counts like maybe make you come if there was fewer modifieds?
No.
Or no? Okay.
Absolutely not. No, that's the problem with racing at home. Some of the tracks at home are getting 5 or 6 modifieds, and even though you don't go, you're contributing to the problem, by having a low car count. But for me, I put the same effort in the shop during the week if I'm going to run one night at some local racetrack for $400 to win, or if I'm going to run the Dakota Tour for 7 nights in a row for big money every night. There's no difference in my prep, and so it's very hard to justify putting that much effort in to go race against 5 or 6 cars. It does.
And you two aren't the only ones that say this, because we've heard it all over from all that. I wanted to tell this story to you, Ricky, of Deer Creek. We were up there as Tanner was up there. We were right next to Ethan Dotson. You remember this?
Yeah. I think I know where it's heading. Yeah.
Dad, you knew my dad really well, Roger.
Yeah, of course.
And he's up there with his girlfriend Shirley, who's never been to racing before in her life.
Yeah, this was like her debut. I mean,
this is
brand new Roger. I mean, we got brand new shoes, brand new clothes. Like, this is a new deal.
So we get up there, and Ethan Dodson comes up to me and he goes, "Hey Jason, do you have any Advil with you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do actually." And he goes, "Do you care if I grab some?" And I said, "Yeah, that's fine." So I come over and an Advil, you only take 1 a day, 2 at the most, because they're so powerful, right? So I hand him 2, and he goes, "I need like 8, 9, 10. I said, 8 or 9 or 10? What the fuck are you doing? You only take 1 or 2 of these. And he goes, "Oh, you'll see, just wait." So we go in, we're over by Tanner's trailer. Here comes Dad and Shirley. He's all proud as could be, these guys do well in there on his hand. And all smiles, and Dotson nudges Tanner, and he walks up to Dad and he goes, "Hey Roger," he goes, "open your hand." He pops them pills in his hand. And
mind you, Advil are blue pills too.
Right.
Mind you.
Yeah. And those pills look like, the Viagra pills. So Dad looks at him, he goes, "Oh, you slimy son of a bitch." He goes, "I don't need these."
Yeah, he says he always would say, "I don't need these." He says, "Yeah, I use popsicle sticks and electrical tape." That was always his quote. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's some good Roger stories, that's for sure. He was always one of a kind, but he always had everybody's best interests at heart. He'd show up at the racetrack and you just see him kind of strolling that kind of little bit of a duck walk he kind of did with his feet spread apart and kind of strolling saying hi to everyone. He wasn't going to miss a soul. So he always had some good times with him. He always come around every time I seen him. He loved my dad.
Yeah.
Him and my dad would always go over and he'd tell my dad stories from way back when and just on and on and on. But he was a good one. He's one of a kind for sure.
And we appreciate you being out here for this. It's meant a lot just seeing some of the guys and the stories and all that. But it's been fun for our family. So thank you for making the trip.
Yeah, I gotta tell you a Roger story. I was down in Canyon or Casa Grande, Arizona. One of the two. It's probably Casa Grande because we were down there racing, and we had seen Roger that day, and we went back to the hotel that night. I just had to pick up a trailer, and we got done racing and come back to the track the next day, and I opened the back door of my trailer, and I look over, and Roger's Dodge pickup sitting there, and the door's open, the driver's door. And I didn't think nothing of it, just went back to unload, and I look over again, and the door's still open. I go, "What is going on?" And I walk over there, and Roger's got one leg hanging on top of the running board, and he's laid out on the ground. And there's a couple empty Bud Light cans there sitting there. Of course, he probably wouldn't drink that now, but it's he said there was one leg hanging in the air. You know, I was laughing so hard. I went over and checked on him because I was scared to death he had a heart attack or something. You okay? Yeah, they got me. Helped him up. And then he started that pickup, and you hear the pickup start up, and the air conditioner's going. I bet you he slept 12 hours on that pickup.
He ain't afraid to sleep.
You got to hear this. This is priceless. Tanner and I were dying laughing for a good probably half an hour of him. Tanner, our dad would go down to Tanner's place, stay at his place for a week or so. A week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he pulled in there with his, you know, that big fifth wheel he had. And I'll let you tell this, Tanner. It's,
Oh, when I go to work
Yeah,
story?
yeah.
So, same thing. He would stay up till 4 in the morning, you know. It was actually right when I bought my house. My shop is just a little piece of crap garage, you know, and he's like helping me. He's like, let's hang lights up and this and that. I was like, all right. So it was right after Hayes' big show. Bill actually bought me some LED lights because Bill seen my shop too. So he bought me some lights and some wire and stuff to kind of fix my shop up because it had no lights in it at all. So me and Roger out there running wire and hanging these lights up. You know, it's going. It's like 3:30, 4 in the morning. I'm like, Roger, I'm gonna have to go to bed. I got work in the morning. You know, he's like, oh, you know, you could stay out a little longer, this and that. So it's like 5 in the morning. Finally, I'm like, Roger, I gotta go to bed. So I go to bed. I wake up and I work 8 to 5 or whatever. And I'm coming home from work. And, you know, I haven't heard from him or anything. And he calls me and says, where are you? I said, pulling into town. What's going on? He says, you gotta come help me. I said, what's wrong? He says, fucking locked in this trailer. I can't get out. He slept all day. And, you know, he'd always have his dogs with him too, you know. Them poor dogs, he just laid down piss mats for him. Just figure it out. I'm going to bed, you know. And so I said, all right, I'm pulling in. And I go up. He's got the window open. He's hanging out the window. He says, this fucking door latch was acting up. So I took it apart. Well, the door was locked when I took it apart. Now I can't put it back together. And I can't open the door. So I don't know how, I mean, he was stuck in there all day. He never came out because I was at work. So he says, here. And he hands me his keys, you know, through the deal. And I have to unlock the door from the outside and stuff to let him out. But he was in there all day with them dogs, you know. There's shit. You know. He would do stuff like that all the time. Like every time he'd come, he would get, it was like a joke, an ongoing joke. Every time he'd pull in my yard, he would get stuck. He would bury his truck trying to leave. You know, there would be ruts. And they would still be there if I didn't pour concrete all where he was. And I was all excited to tell him, like, hey, look, I poured you a pad and some rock, you know. So when you pull in here, you know, and yeah, now, you know, obviously, but every time he'd get stuck. So the last time, you know, his truck's buried, this and that, and we get him out of there. Or before that, before he got the truck stuck, he's just a mess. He unhooked his truck, you know, and he's backing up to it. And he has the trailer up on them jacks and stuff, and he backs it up, and all of a sudden, I'm in the garage and I hear a loud boom, boom. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I come and his trailer's laying on his bed of his truck, you know. And I'm like, he gets out and he goes, God damn, that's the third time that's happened. Because what he would do is he'd back up to the trailer and he had all these 2x4s and pieces of wood and shit underneath the jack so the trailer would get high enough because the ground was soft. Well, he bumped that trailer and it fell off all them 2x4s and shit because he didn't have the tires chalked. Trailer slammed down, crushed his bed. And I said, this is your third time? Yeah, it's my third time. I said, you ever think of maybe chalking the tires so like the trailer can't move? Yeah, that's a good idea. So I gave him a wheel chalk, and it's still in the back of the truck. Yeah, Jason has a truck.
I found because Justin Yeager actually just fixed that for me. What some of that damage was. But yeah, those chocks are back there because I was when he told me that story, I was like, I just seen them the other day.
Yeah.
And now we just got a new trailer, so might need them.
Yeah.
And then the last time he came, he was with Shirley. He stopped on his way through there going to Arizona, and it was, I don't know what time of year it was. It was getting cold. I mean, it was freezing and stuff at night, and he didn't have any water in his trailer. So he said, my house was kind of the last bit of the cold. He says, well, I'll just fill the water up at your house, and then we'll head south. I said, all right. So that morning he's getting ready to leave, and Kelsey's standing there talking to him. He says, well, go turn your hose on and flush it out, and then I'll tell you to turn it off, and I'll hook it up. So, all right. So I went there, turned it on. Well, it was cold, and there's a piece of ice in there, so he's fucking with this thing. Of course, he's too fucking not smart enough to not look at the hose, So he's banging this thing on the fence. And I said, you want me to shut it off yet? He said, no water's even come out. So I thought, it must be froze. Hang on. So I walked back, and he's staring there, and Kelsey goes, well, don't stare at it. Said, what if it comes out? And she told him that, and he's still fucking with this thing. And sure enough, he looks up, and it blew his glasses off his face, everything, because it was just like a damn icicle come shooting out of there, And just soaked him. And it was cold out, too. And he just, shaking his head, Kelsey's like, I literally told you not to look down the hose. I could go on and on, so I better stop.
So Kelsey Foley, you just recently got engaged. Tanner, congrats on that. And Braxton Yeager just got engaged. And I told them guys, and I'll tell you this too, it's a little bit of a tip.
Oh, gosh.
Have you ever been down to Yeager's Auto Body there?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you, Tanner?
No, I haven't.
Really, really nice shop. Across the street is the county courthouse. I said, where you're going to save some money is, I'm an ordained minister. I legitimately I could do funerals, baptisms,
Weddings.
Legally, or?
Yeah.
He took a...
Because I think your dad did this, but I don't know if he was legal.
I legitimately, and I do bar mitzvahs too.
He took a course online, so he is actually registered.
So anyway, I told him, I said, I could do your wedding. I'll save you a ton of money. You're getting married at the courthouse.
Yeah.
That's going to save you a bunch of money. And third, there's security cameras all over the fucking place. You're going to get a video, and you take pictures off, and you're saving in photography. So basically, the only thing you just got is flowers.
And if you go around the courthouse, they probably have flowers planted.
Yeah, you just go around.
Just go around, pick a couple. It's fine.
And so we could tie your guys' wedding all in one.
There you go.
Jesus Christ, imagine the race cars we could save on that.
Man, no other place. Rock Springs, Wyoming, too. I mean,
Memory book right there.
yeah. Wind blowing your hats off and everything. Yeah, no other place.
You just got married too quick, or otherwise we could have added you in there too.
Well, I'm on number 2, but yeah, we definitely learned our lesson on, my lesson, I guess, on the first one where I had the big elaborate wedding, and my wife now, same thing. She had a big elaborate wedding, and then we got to married together, and we just did a small thing with people we knew and didn't worry about any of that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, you're not going to remember that. You're going to remember who was there more than
Not how much you spent.
Yeah. I told Tanner the same thing. I said, don't do it. I said, spend all the money on the honeymoon. To hell with everybody else's stuff.
Right.
We're going to Vegas, and we're going to have Leslie Chow do it right there at the little chapel, the little wedding chapel.
You can probably find, what the hell is that? From Lion King.
Oh,
The fuck is
you're out of my movie category.
But Joe Exotic.
Oh,
yeah. Tiger King. Yeah. Lion King's like the 5-year-old. That's why I was like.
That's what I was saying. Not yet. Just give him time.
Yeah.
Disney movies that I can believe I can watch. So.
I have a 7-year-old. I get that. I get that.
4-year-old at home, and I watch a lot of Bluey, a lot of Paw Patrol. Yeah.
Do you get SpongeBob yet or not yet?
No, I can stay away from the SpongeBob, but it's
I try, but my son just absolutely loves it. It's like,
give a mouse a cookie. I know all the lyrics and songs.
yep.
So you know Trippy Dippy? I call him Trippy Dippy, Trip Gaylord.
Okay.
You know, have you ever met him?
Yeah, I know who Trip is.
Yeah, so if you want to take your daughter over to his trailer some afternoon, he could sing any Disney classic you want him to. You ever heard him sing, Tanner?
Trip Gaylord?
Yeah.
He plays Disney music in his trailer and sings to it.
He'll play Beauty and the Beast music, and he's
Not
singing
when I'm
it.
with him.
I've known him a few years, but I think he said like 12 words to me.
That was in Brit, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
I was gonna say the only time we raced together a bunch because he'd come with us with Bill and stuff, and when we go down the highway, he'd always listen to that Dale Earnhardt podcast. That was actually the first time I ever heard of. He listened to that, and I'm like, he must like NASCAR or something. I don't know because I don't really listen to that stuff. But then when I would listen to it actually is pretty cool. I just thought it was all about NASCAR, but they do a bunch of stuff. They did one with like Scott Bloomquist and stuff, and that one was really good. So I didn't really know the podcast world, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different people on that Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast or download, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good ones. I like listening to that one too.
So you're here with your family. I've met them for the first time, just like you last night. And I was telling Tanner that's what's cool about this sport is you got your whole family with you. Your dad's with you.
Yeah, my dad started racing in 1981, so 2 years before I was even born. He ran a Sportsman dirt car and dirt late model out at Colorado National Speedway when it was still dirt. And so I grew up around it my entire life. And then when I turned 16, my dad finally quit racing and put me in the car. And it's definitely a family thing. My brother races, his son races, my sister's kid races, and then my daughter's been racing. The 13-year-old that was with me last night, Grace, she races, and then my little boy, I got him a quarter midget. He just turned 4, so I built a little track at the house, and we've been trying to run a few laps, trying to get him used to everything. He's going to be a wild child. I'm a little nervous for that one. Speed is not a fear with that one.
So is Austin's little boy, your brother,
Yeah.
Tanner,
Yeah.
has he had him running, is he racing anything?
Actually, he's got one of them little Strider bikes, which he's about to turn 2 in June.
Okay.
But they were going to actually take him and race those little Strider bikes, and some stuff didn't work out or whatever. But he's been taking them to the track and letting them ride those and go up and down the jumps. It's pretty funny. He sends me videos, like he couldn't figure out the turn. He thought it was a jump. He just rides straight. You forget to turn. He just rides straight and fall over. And you hear my brother, he goes, "Don't forget to turn. Don't forget to turn." And he goes, "Yep, he forgot to turn." And he falls over. But
It's kind of neat how it goes full circle, though. So like how you were saying your dad raced, you're racing, and now your kids are going to be coming into it probably the same way with you,
Yeah.
Tanner. You
Yeah.
see that with your brother.
yep,
And now
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You hear this with Justin Yeager, how he's like, his dad raced, he's raced, now his kids are racing, and it kind of takes a whole on new look on things of seeing that.
Yeah, Justin's got it tough because Justin was still in his prime as far as I was concerned. He was still winning a lot of big races and running up front at big shows, and to have to turn that all over to your boys was probably hard, but also really rewarding because they've both been pretty successful. And so I think that's exciting for me probably to see in the future is the opportunity to do that. Of course, I've seen some situations where kids get their dads in some pretty big fights because the kid runs into everybody and wrecks everything. We're hoping
You can talk from experience.
Well, I had my fair share running into my dad was coming to defend me. So.
Justin's lucky there, Braxton. And they're too nice half the time. I always tell him, "You gotta be more aggressive, man." And I'm not very aggressive either, but like sometimes he's too nice, But Justin can say what he wants. I watch him at Yuma. He has just as much fun watching them boys race.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he looks like a cheerleader up there, jumping up and down as they're racing, So I know he's having fun, but I'm sure it's still different, you know. But I think he still gets behind the wheel and stuff. Did he get that stock car now, or
Yeah.
is he racing that?
Yeah, he said they'll run some big money. They might take that to some big money shows. Yeah.
He'll have fun with that stuff.
You know, speaking of stock cars, I want to get your guys' input on this quick. You see a lot of these modified drivers going over to racing stock cars as well. What's your thoughts on that? What are you guys thinking of maybe doing that at some point?
Well, if somebody let us put quick changes in, I'd be all over it because, you know, we can buy a really nice set of quick change gears for like $100 a set, and you know, some of those stock car sets are $900 a set for a polished set of gears, and then the trouble with changing them and stuff. But I think it's kind of old school, kind of puts some things back into it. You know, the stock car has really become a race car now.
Yeah.
It really has, with the technology and the shocks and the things people have learned. They really look like a lot of fun. I've driven a couple of them, you know, just here and there, having some fun, and they're different. You know, you don't have the horsepower really to do anything crazy, but everybody's so equal that you're just trying to make up the slightest amount of gaps. And they put on a heck of a show because of that. And like, I think promoters are starting to learn that because they're starting to pay some bigger purses to draw that crowd in. But I'd probably have one, and you know, and looking back, I'd probably do that over the USMTS car just because of how far I have to travel to go run any of those. It probably would have been a smarter decision to put a stock car together instead of another modified.
Sure.
Yep, I mean, he kind of hit the nail on the head. I think stock cars they always, like I said about the racetracks, you know, you could take a kind of a 1 lane, 2 lane racetrack, put a stock car on it, and you got 3 lanes, you know, like the roll package and everything they got is pretty good. I mean, they race really good, and everyone's really close and competitive, where like the modified stuff's like, it's almost like we're all too close, kind of the same speed, where the stock cars, you could, you know, it's get out and race, and the modified stuff, everyone gets kind of strung out. It's kind of like,
and that's what
watching a
Justin
sprint
was saying
car race, you
yesterday
know?
too. Because he's saying back in Iowa, Matt, the stock car racing's so much fun back there
Yeah.
because the fields are so.
Well, I mean, you get 50 to 60 cars no matter where you go. Some are just stock car drivers, but a lot of modified drivers have got stock cars back home. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or hurts, but
No, it definitely makes a lot of sense what they're doing with that Dirt Crown series. Like, they're paying some big money. Like, that would be really smart, worth it. You know, you're never going to make money doing this, so we can all pretend that we are, but truth of the matter is we
As
just.
Tanner Black says, he's backing up another bank account for these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, FDIC
Open
insured.
up in a savings, maybe. Start putting money in the savings, so I have something at the end of the day.
How to become a millionaire racing is starting with $1 billion. I can promise you that. So.
yeah, that's how you make a small fortune. Start with a big one. Yep.
He has on the back of his car straight cash hauling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that Dirt Crown, that's become a big deal back home anyway.
Yeah, I enjoy watching it. I just, anytime I can, I'll turn it on the TV just because it's so much fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. Like, even, I'll say, like, one night in Yuma this year, I hurt my motor, and so I didn't make sure I hurt the motor in the heat race, and we didn't change it or whatever. And I went up there and watched the modified feature, and I was like, dang, like, if I didn't race, I don't know that I could sit here and watch this. Like, it was just strung out, kind of boring, you know. That shouldn't be how it is. Like, I feel like, you know, you watch the stock cars and stuff, like, they put on a really good show, and like 3-wide, 4-wide racing all the time. Like, even if the racetrack's like kind of 1 lane dominant, they're still putting on a good show, and the modified is just so strung out and hard. It's like you get 2-3 laps, and then kind of what you got is what you got, you know?
Sure.
Well, even Boone switched it around now. The stock cars go last instead of the modifieds,
Yep.
just because they put on a better show.
The modified deal, I don't know what it needs, and I'm not going to pretend to say that I do, but it needs something. We're kind of a dying breed. The cost of the cars are crazy. I mean,
Everybody that we've talked to, Adam and I, when we sit there and ask them to come on to our show and that, you know, we've been over some of that, and every single one of them have said the same thing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
You know, it's crazy. We spend an insane amount of money to go do this, and then you can't make anything up. There's always those guys that are going to have the nights where you're just on. And I think that's what makes it so difficult, is just one small adjustment away from being great or junk. And there's not really an in between, you know. And then if you go to a race where there's some really good cars, and 5 of you might hit it on setup, but you can't do anything. like Tanner and I last night. Like we were almost identical lap times. It was who got to the front first.
Yep, that's why I like them starts. That's what I'm saying. Like you have like 3 laps, and it's like whoever gets to that front first is probably gonna win because you got clean air and like you seen it even when I got to those lap cars. Like open track's huge. If you could move around and stuff, and you get to them lap cars, it's like you feel like you're way slower. You know, it's just that hard to pass. Like the track's that fast. Like there's a bunch of different things, but you know, like he kind of said, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say what it needs and what it don't need, but it kind of needs a change. Like there's, you know, these people spending a ton of money on this stuff, and I don't know that that's ever going to change. You know, I think no matter what, people are going to spend money. Like there's always going to be people that don't go and work for it. You know, like I'm very blessed to have what I have, you know, with Bill and everything, but like I still work hard for what I got, you know, like I put the time in, put the effort in, travel up and down the road. 99% of the time I'm by myself running up and down the road, other than with, you know, Kelsey. Now we got that stacker trailer. She's with me all the time too, which is nice just to have someone to talk to. But, you know, there's a lot of people that don't do that. There's a lot of people that pay such and such. I don't care what it costs. Give me what I need, you know? And I think that's never going to change. Those people are always going to be in the sport like that, but there's a lot of people.
That's where Ricky Alvarado's sitting.
Yeah. Well, he's put the time into. He's been racing his entire life, and he's learned a lot too. Just like I have. When you run up and down the road as much as we do, like you're gonna learn stuff, and it's gonna take time, but you'll figure it out. Kind of like the USMTS thing. It's you know, me and him both know feelings. You know, you feel like you're doing something, and you go to these shows, and you don't even make them, you know, and it's like you feel embarrassed, you know, but then you sit back and look, and you're like, man, like I'm not going anywhere, this and that, and you look, and you're like, well, there's the points leader racing right next to me. There's, you know, Zach Vanderbeek. There's these guys that do this for a living, like all around you, but like same thing. It's just really hard, and that I feel like is even harder than the IMCA stuff, because like that adjustment, like he said, like one little adjustment could either be really good or really bad, and that, like, I just feel like every time you're on the racetrack, you gotta be perfect, whether it's qualifying, everything. It's just like you gotta be 100%.
So you've run some USMTS races, right, Ricky?
Yeah, I went down to the Wild West Shootout in Vado, and we ran really good down there, and I was kind of hyped. I was like, all right, man, I can compete with these guys. And I went to Humboldt, and I looked like a monkey. Like, it was terrible. I couldn't get out of my own way. It was just, I didn't do anything different.
Super humbling, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Like, if anyone thinks they're good at something, or like racing like that, you go do that, and your eyes will open real quick. I mean, one night, you know, the first night at Wichita when I ran it with them, I struggled. The second night, I got better, run like ninth. The third night, I made the show, but wasn't really going anywhere. So going into Lakeside, I was like, all right, you know, I'm at least making the shows, you know, this and that. I go there, and 2 nights, and you make the show. I felt like an idiot, you know, and it's hard because you don't want to get frustrated at yourself and like down on yourself, but like you go home and watch the videos and stuff, and it's like, you know, man, I made one little teeny mistake right there, and it cost me. Like, it just, you have to be so on with those guys, and
yeah, it's definitely a momentum sport. I get in my own head terribly. I've been doing this a long time, and I still get in my head. I'll have a bad night, and then I don't even want to. I feel embarrassed. It's like instant embarrassment. And I tell my wife that's why I love golf so much. And she's like, you got 2 race cars sitting in the shop. Why are you going golfing? You know, she kind of gives me a hard time. I'm like, because no one expects anything out of me in a golf course. And
you might really think like even say me, you know, like when I go race those USMT, I'm nobody. Like, no one's going to look at me, you know what I mean, other than a few of my friends that watch. But like when you're racing with those guys, no one's really paying attention to you. But like, in your mind, you feel like the whole world's watching you and expecting you to win, you know, and it's so hard to like get that through your head that like, hey, like no one, doesn't really matter if you struggle a little bit, you know, come back, do it again. But it's hard to have that mindset. But Kelsey helps me with it a lot, because like I'll beat myself up bad, you know, like at Wichita that first night I struggled really bad, and I knew it was going to be hard. Like, we know it's going to be hard going into that stuff, but like you just expect, you know, everything to go right, and it doesn't. So like he said, it's a big mindset thing too. You have to be right in the head to be able to do too good.
So do you guys, from IMCA to USMTS, you got different setups, obviously, different wheel tires.
You got motor shields and stuff, yeah.
So with that in mind, I mean, besides what you were just talking about, there's a lot of money difference in between those series too.
It is and it isn't. You know, tires still cost tires, fuel still costs fuel. So that initial investment's a little different, but to go run, like, that's what's so tough. That's what sometimes promoters don't understand is we can go, Tanner and I have cars now, so we can go race USMTS and run for 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 3 nights in a row, or we can go run Joe Blow Speedway for 400 to win, and it costs us the same amount of money.
And it's not even so much like the winning deal, you know what I mean? Because all of us want to win, but like in reality, driving 12 hours to Deer Creek to go to the Harris Clash, you want to win, but like there's 90 other cars there that want to win too, that are really good cars, and that 5,000 to win, it's gonna be tough. But that, you know, and not Harris Clash because they do pay good start money, but all the other races, the start money is where guys like me and him rely on, because you know you're spending a lot of money in fuel, tires, all this stuff to go there, and if something goes wrong, you're like done, you know. But
Sure,
at CSMTS still, like if you could go and make the shows, you could at least like cover your weekend, you know, pay for your tires and your fuel and stuff like that. And if you have some good runs, you might be able to not make money, but you know, not come out losing money like you are on these other deals. And that's what really made me decide last year was actually during that Harris Clash deal, you know, where I live in Kansas, I was driving 12 hours or whatever it is up there one way, and then there were some weekly shows after that same thing, pay 400 to win, whatever. But there was 3 10,000 wins in a row, like within 4 or 5 hours of my house with the USMTS still. So it's like, and it pays good start money, you know, so it's hard to justify that. But right now, the start money doesn't matter if you're not making the shows, you know, it's.
Is that why more people are jumping to do the MTS or USMTS because of the money?
No.
Or
yes, I believe that has something to do with it. It's
right.
not that they feel like they can go out and win it, but they have that opportunity to.
Right, but you can finish like 11th and make more than that $400 or whatever.
I'm a true believer that a race should pay to start the cost of your entry fee and pit passes and cover at least one brand new tire. Like that should be the minimum you race for, to where you're not completely out at all your expenses. You know, you can't expect tracks with dwindling car counts to promise these monster start prices, but you gotta have something to justify it.
I feel like the USMTS too, like, and I'm not trying to bash other people, this is just how I feel, but like they give back to the racer. I feel like they try to help the racer a lot more, make it up and down the highway. You know, at the drivers' meeting, they give out some $100 bills to random pill draws. They give out some tires to random pill draws, like quick change set gear, just stuff like that. Like it really, at the end of the day, it does add up. Like, hey, you know, if you win a tire before the night even starts, like you tear your right rear up, it covers it. You know, like you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to badmouth what IMCA is doing at all, but I think what would help them is creating like a premier IMCA touring series similar to. You know, because USMTS still has their weekly USRA racing, which is so. I really wish, you know, IMCA would consider doing like an elite IMCA touring series that raced every other week, 3 nights. You know, not every week. That's just too hard on everybody. But
even once a month, like like anything, something like that. You know, that you could go to travel these races and make it worth it, like the USMTS still.
And put up the purse money, pay something like that, similar. And I think you would get a really good turnout. So somebody that could go justify, and you can run 3 to 4 nights in a row, once a month, for real money. I'm saying
there's got to be a way to do it. If USMTS is doing it, and USMTS, I feel like the cars are great cars. Don't get me wrong, but like they don't get the car counts that most of these IMCA shows get. Like I really feel like the IMCA has the crowd and could draw
even bigger.
Yeah, I really think even bigger. And if USMTS is doing it with 40, 45 cars a night, we know IMCA could do it with 50, 60, 70 cars a night. You know, somehow it's working for them. So, but same thing. I'm not sitting here trying to like tell them what to do, because obviously what they're doing is working. They're making money, right? But I just think as a racer, a lot of them guys, that's kind of why you see some of these guys go over there. But like the guys you do see over there, I feel like the guys you do see go over there, and struggle, I feel like you're going to see them be a lot better in the IMCA stuff too.
Well, there for a while back home, we had that Hawkeye Dirt Tour.
Yeah.
It was 3,000 a night or whatever it was. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like 10 different tracks or whatever. I don't know if they could continue off that. They don't do it anymore, but I don't know if they could continue on that, kind of like what you guys are talking about, or.
Yeah, I would just like to see something that wasn't so centralized region, you know, like to where it was
Right.
just a specific region, like spread out, go across the country, and you're going to have your 10 guys that are die hard, following the points.
Yeah.
They're going to chase the whole thing no matter where they go. And then you're going to have the group that is your local guys that are going to participate for that region. And then you're going to have guys like me and Tanner, they're going to go to the ones that make sense. And I think it would be really good for them. I think it would honestly, and I think they prevented it for so long is because they didn't want the modified to be a touring series. They really did. They pushed back on some of the series stuff, I think, at one point. But at the end of the day, like, these are different now. Things are completely different.
Yeah, because that was just 10 races in Iowa. So, yeah, I understand sprint. Yeah, that would
would
have made it a lot better.
If I could leave my house on a Thursday and I could go race Friday, Saturday, and Sunday once a month, sign me up. Like, I don't care how far it is. I'd go do it.
I think they were doing like 2 a month or whatever. But, yeah, so you had your weekly shows and then you still had those Hawkeye Dirt races.
They could actually do that pretty easily. I mean, if you stop to think about you could even use like Vegas as one of them. Arizona in the winter.
Well, I feel like we already have, you know, that's the thing is like most of these guys that are going to these bigger IMCA shows, you already kind of have your star places.
Guys that are
you know
going.
what I mean? Yeah, we all go to North Dakota. We all go to the Super Nationals. We all go to, or like Batesville there for a while. We were all going to Batesville. We all go to Arizona. Like we all kind of already go to these places. You know
Both you guys go to Boone every year.
Yeah, so like we already kind of all go to these places. I feel like they could really do it pretty simple and
Sure.
and like Ricky said, it just don't make it one spot. Make it where like a guy from the West Coast could do it a little bit if he wants to, or
Right.
you know guys from down south could do it, or guys from north. Like make it where you know it's just kind of all over the place. And if the USMTS deal's doing it, I mean they're paying $100,000 to win for points on. That makes it where guys, you know, that do it for a living want to do it for a living.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and like you said, it's not like you're getting a ton of cars, but there's a lot of, you know, USMTS does have their 10, 15 cars that follow them everywhere. They're diehards, and then they have their weekly guys, and then there's some guys that hop in here and there, you know, it just,
Sure.
whatever makes sense for the people to run. But it's probably hard for IMCA to do that because I feel like they're probably pretty successful, and they are. Like if you think about it,
Right.
like
No, without a shadow of a doubt,
I mean,
it's the most successful
they're-
sanctioned body ever.
yeah,
So
I
they
mean,
can't-
so it's
can't-
hard for them to want to make a change when you're right. If
Right.
your business is doing great every year, it's getting better and better. Why are you gonna change something to
why mess
give
with it?
more money away? You know,
Right.
so I don't blame them. Like
Budweiser managed to do that.
yeah, well, and I think the IMCA thing we got to remember like. Stuff has changed so much throughout the years. Like there are people that do this for a living now, and I
Right.
feel like the IMCA is more like I'm not gonna say as a hobby, but like it's more of a weekly racing series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the USMTS is kind of like a Lucas Oil series. You know,
Right.
like where you know all your premier guys are.
It's
are doing-
developing its brand pretty.
Yeah.
And speaking of this, I want to get your guys' pick on this, or thoughts on this quick. We talked about this yesterday. And Tanner knows this because he was there when I approached Brett Root about this. You have small kids, I have small boys. If you know how Hot Wheels do these monster trucks, you can buy them at any store with the monster trucks, right? What if IMCA did a Hot Wheel car of just their All-Star, the guys that make the All-Star race in Boone every year? They have their own modified car, you buy it in the stores. I think the thing would be huge because all these kids that you see at the racetrack always pretend to be you guys.
Yeah.
My boy being one of them. Always going around, oh, Tanner flipped on the backside, whatever, you know. If they did that, anyway, I approached that to him, and he didn't seem too interested in it. But everyone I've talked to is like, that's a great idea for it.
Yeah, my little boy's got a whole bunch of little pullback ones. They're probably 6 inch long or so. modifieds, and I had a bunch of them lettered to match my car.
Yeah.
And we give them away to our sponsors at the end of the year as a thank you. And
Sure.
and of course he snags into a couple of them before I can get him out of the box. But yeah, I think that's an interesting aspect to look at. I think that if, say, we did get a big terrain series type thing going, that it'd be really interesting to see somebody from the sanctioning body, whoever it is, put together a souvenir t-shirt type trailer to where they got shirts and things like that made for specific drivers that they knew were popular,
Right.
and then let those pay those drivers a percentage back on the sales. And I think that would be a good way to supplement those guys having to travel and some of their traveling costs. But
Sure.
I think that anything you can do to get kids involved is great. I think that's the missing aspect of what we're doing, is that there's a lot of these old guys that are, my dad, Bill, Roy, they're going to be kind of tired of doing this. And so it's kind of our responsibility to kind of do what they did to us and
Sure.
make sure that younger people have the opportunity to get in this sport and have interest in the sport. And I try really hard anytime a kid comes by to give them a sticker or a hat or shirt or something, just to make them see the good in it too. Because a lot of times kids come back in the pits, and not for this to be wrong or anything, but there's drunks dropping F-bombs every other word, Sure. And I think that's discouraged parents from wanting their kids to be around some of that stuff after the races, to where I remember as a kid, as soon as the races were over, I was out in the pits getting autographs from every driver because
Right.
I was enthralled. So I think it's really important that we all kind of focus on that and make sure we have stuff for the kids to have.
Sure.
I know my kid really likes to go to Lucas Oil because you can get the little matchbox cars of all the drivers.
Yeah.
If you go wherever they're at.
Yeah.
I want to tell one quick story and then we'll wrap this up. Tanner, you never knew this. What I'm about to tell you, kind of the front side of this story, but you don't know the back side of this story. I've been waiting to share this with you. When Dad was still alive, we were sitting there having a couple beers one night, kind of getting lit up. And anyway, we were talking about how I used to help Jake Rice find sponsors for his car. Jake Rice ran the Sport Mod, my brother-in-law, up in Idaho Falls. And I found him, some sponsors in that. And Dad goes, God, that's one, Tanner, if he found some of the right sponsors, and he'd do all right with promoting them and all that. And I said, God, I had to call him, just mess with him. Oh yeah. Call him up and tell him you got a sponsor for a spice company and that he needs to hand out samples of the spice packets. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea. Give me a minute to think of what I'm going to say to him. So I called Tanner up, said, hey, I think I got a good sponsor for you. Tanner's like, yeah. I said, well, he has a spice company for barbecue and spice. And he doesn't know how much money he wants to give up yet. We kind of talked you up. He wants some information on you, but if you could go around the pits before the races and hand out samples of the spice packets, that's going to help his sponsorship quite a bit.
This is what's sad, is I know he's so full of shit. I don't even remember this story. Because I probably just said, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
This is a true story because I think I even.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure you told me, but I just know he's so full of shit. And him and his dad, I was probably just going, yeah,
When he started talking about the spice, I remember, he told him, we have a lot of time to talk on the way to racetracks.
But anyway, I said, and right away, Tanner's like, oh, no, I don't have time to be walking around. Samples of the drivers. And when he said that, Dad's over there just going it down. Yeah, keep it going. Tell him he needs a barbecue for people after the races.
You sell more shirts if you sell barbecue with it. You sell more shirts.
He needs to get that grill fired up as soon as he pulls in.
Sit there and grill hot dogs for people.
It's not like you have a car to work on or anything. Just grill.
Dad's like, oh, he's just sitting in the back of his head. Who the hell wants to hand out sample packets?
You got to be careful, Jason. 'Cause I know you. Did you ever tell him, your dad, that that was you that called about when the plane sprayed his house when you called?
So I don't know. Have you heard this story, Ricky?
No, this is new.
I don't even think I've heard this one.
Yeah.
Back in the mid '90s, Dad just got his roof redone of metal on his roof, and there was big mounds of bird shit all around on the roof on his camper. And Dad, I went over there one afternoon. And Dad goes, "Look at this." I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "You know them goddamn planes fly."
Oh yeah, because when I went to his house in Idaho, he sat there. You watch.
Yeah.
They fly right over my house. These
Yep.
planes.
When they come flying in, they open up the hatch and it just drops all the shit and piss on my house, and it's every goddamn time.
He was fully convinced these planes
Yeah.
are dumping their shit on his. Just his house, mind you. No, none of the neighbors.
They aim just for his house.
He went out and he staged little tents, like a crime scene. And he had 1, 2, 3, and he was up there taking pictures. And he went and had them developed. And then he was sending them in to the local authorities.
Oh my gosh.
Was it the FAA?
Yeah, the FBI. Which their office was in Pocatello. So this went on for probably a good 6-7 months, and then I got the wild hair up my ass to prank call him and act like I was one of the FBI people, that I got his evidence of these pictures and wanted to know the backstory of it. Well, he just lit me up. I want to tell you, them goddamn planes come flying over every goddamn time. I get droppings on my house, and it ain't no.
It's not a. He said, if this is a bird, I'd like to see its fucking wingspan. Those were his exact words. He told us, "I'd like to see the wingspan on this fucking bird."
So, I'm carrying on with this, and I said, "Are you sure it's a bird, or are you sure it's a plane?" And he goes. And then that's what he'd say. Well, if it's not a plane, I'd love to see this bird, because he goes, "This ain't no bird shit. This is full on." And I said, "Well, how about I get you a power washer up there?" And he goes, "Well, you're going to do something." So this went on, like I said, this was in the mid '90s. This went on through his whole life. I would get people involved, just say, whisper in their ear, tell them the same story, and I'd say, "Hey, God, you wouldn't believe last weekend, I don't know what the hell happened, but all over my race trailer, like someone just dumped a pile of shit." That's all you had to say to him. Just like that, you did. Wound up. I had the same goddamn thing happen to me.
You just sounded just like him. I just heard his voice.
So my buddy down in Clarion, Iowa, is the sheriff of Wright County, Jason Sludenhofer. I told him this. I said, "Hey, let's get." He was on down in Arizona with Shirley for the winter. I said, "Here, let's get him on the phone and say, hey, Roger, I got a hell of a mess up here. One Hagee private jets flew into town and accidentally opened up their chute. There's toilet paper and shit, everything in trees, and they got Shirley's house. So we got him on the phone, and Dad goes, "Oh, yes, Sluty, you're on the phone?" And he goes, "Yeah, how you doing, Raj?" He goes, "Good, good. Well, I got some bad news here for you up here." He goes, "Oh, yeah, what's that?" He goes, "Well, Hagee has their private jet out here in Clarion, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, and well, they accidentally opened up that chute that holds all the toxic waste, and it got John Broad's house and your house, and there's toilet paper in the trees. It looks like a shit bomb went off in that neighborhood." And he goes, "You're shitting." I'm going to tell you, it's happened to me out in Idaho.
better. I want to throw something across your plate.
Yeah. Shirley's in the background. Oh my God. No idea what's
Yeah.
going on, you know.
Or what's happening.
The whole back. But to answer your question, Dad never knew the whole. I never did tell. He never knew that I
He's
did
probably up
that.
there saying, "You slimy
Yeah.
bitch."
Or I knew he.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I appreciate you guys on the show today. Been a lot of fun, and good luck to you guys the rest of the season. Good luck tonight. Appreciate you guys being out here for the. You're going to be in Iowa this year?
Yeah, we'll make a trip out there eventually. I don't know when exactly yet. I did enter for nationals. I got my parking spot all reserved, so as long as that works out.
Is that you got the red carpet treatment like what Tanner got?
No, I'm not quite. I'm not on T-shirt row with Tanner. I got one of them spots.
Have you ever been to his shop there at Deer and Boone? You would think you're walking into a fucking Walmart of T-shirts. He's got so much shit spread out in that pit. God, you got to maneuver around different clothes racks. He's even got his own underwear line.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Kelsey's the popular one.
Yeah, she's the one selling the stuff.
I appreciate you being on here today,
Yeah.
and your dad was a hell of a man. And to Tanner, like, I wanted him to know that Roger was proud of you because he looked at you like a son, and
Yeah.
he was very proud of all your successes and always had your best interest at heart. He spoke so highly of you, it wasn't even funny. So I'm proud of you too, just for the record.
Well, thank you guys, and appreciate everything. And like you said, having us on here is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
But if you guys get to Iowa, I'll have that. We got our trailer and all that. That's going to be our studio and everything. So have to have you on when you guys are out there because we're just pulling it right to the track and all that. So
Very nice to meet both of you. So.
yeah,
Nice meeting you. Yeah.
thanks guys.
Pit Stop Motorsports, Dirt Tracks Racing, largest inventory trackside parts service. We keep racers on the track, located in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and coming to a track near you. Check us out on Facebook at Pit Stop Motorsports. And tell Slade Pitt the slimy bastards sent you.
Driver interviews, pit action, industry news. We're bringing you everything that fuels the adrenaline-pumping world of dirt track racing. Buckle up now. You're sitting with the slimy bastards.